I'm Mel Stewart, and this is a GMM podcast. Joining me today, Cameron McEvoy, 4-time Olympic medalist, the Olympic champion in the 50 free, and of course he's coming off of just winning the 50 free at World Championships in Singapore. He goes through this podcast detailing his training block since Paris, the months and months of just heavy weight training, building power, to segueing into the pool, and he's not doing a whole lot. It's highly intense, but some practices, 200, 250 meters, just details how dialed in he is in terms of wiring his brain to swim fast. This is fascinating. You're going to enjoy it. Cameron McEvoy. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, I've never interviewed you and kind of excited about it. It's you're the professor and you're one of the most interesting people. And so are you Cam or Cameron?
Whatever you want. I don't mind. Grew up with Cam unless I was in trouble by my parents. Honestly, I don't mind.
You know, just doing research on you, I don't want to come out of the gate really hot here, but it's like, you did this interview with Men's Health and you dropped this analogy about this thought experiment on aliens watching swimmers swim in a hole back and forth and how crazy that would be. And that caught my attention.
Well, it puts our sport into perspective. So I'll lay it out. If aliens came to Earth and watched what we were doing, so we're in a community that dedicates their life to this. This is very high meaning, very personal to a lot of people. We care a lot about it. But if aliens came to Earth and were just kind of observing what we're doing, they'd see this hole in the ground full of water, and all we're doing is just going back and forward, and just seeing how fast we can go from one point to the other in a hole in the ground full of water. And from that perspective, it really humbles you because you can go down many rabbit holes. You can care a lot about what you do. And then you look at it from a different perspective and it kind of just blows everything up in a sense. So yeah, I'm a big believer in where you stand determines what you see. And that's just like an extreme way to kind of take yourself out of where you are and then look at what you're doing just from a new, fresh point of view.
I read into that and I thought physics education, he's dropping the aliens thought experiment. And my question was, are you an experiencer? You're down under, man. It's a big skies. You ever seen anything crazy in the sky?
No, I haven't. Look, every star you see at night, usually, especially if you go like out away from cities, no light pollution, they're not usually individual stars. They're galaxies that probably have about 1 billion stars within them. Our solar system, we're one star and we've got one planet that has life that we know of. There is a pretty high chance that in the billions upon billions of galaxies out there that have billions upon billions of planets orbiting them, surely there's one place that's got something out there. But no, haven't seen them on Earth.
So you're familiar with the Drake equation?
Yeah, I've seen a little bit about it. So, and a lot of people are like, it's scary either way in terms of if we're not alone, that's pretty scary. And then if we are alone, that thought's also pretty scary with how big the universe is.
Okay. I was just curious. I was like, I wonder if he's seen something. I wonder if he's had an experience. Because once someone does, it's always, you're never the same.
Look, there's definitely been a massive influx on social media about that stuff. But look, a lot of the reports usually come from pretty specific places, whether or not like those people who report it are kind of fully there or not, you don't know. Every video about it is like super low resolution, and we're not living in an era now with super low resolution cameras. And yeah, I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, well, I'm just going to put this out here. We're on a podcast. This is going to go public. I didn't know if we were going to do a world debut and just be like the first Olympians to be like, I've seen it. You're not the guy.
Nah, I'm not.
You might be the guy. Well, I'm just going to, then we're going to you're going to be on this podcast and we'll both be like, look, we're looking for Olympians who've seen lights in the sky.
Yeah.
Perhaps who have made contact.
Put the message out there.
I'm ready to go. I didn't know if you were the guy. Just maybe. And for anybody who's just dropping in right now and you're going, Mel, when are you going to get to World Championships? We're going to get to World Championships. We are. But I first have to ask you about the early years. We are going to recap. I want to recap from Paris to bringing us up to present day to the success you had in Singapore. But I want to go deep into the weeds. You're 31 years old, correct?
Yep.
34 in LA 2028.
Yep.
You are swimming to LA 2028.
I'd like to, yeah.
And you are in the sweet spot of your career. This is happening for you now because early on you were You were there. You were an elite athlete. You weren't having this success. What do you attribute that to?
Well, for a large part of my early to middle career, there's a big gap or a big divergence between what I could do and what I was actually doing, especially on the international stage. And look, you could put it down to a whole bunch of stuff. And this is actually one thing I've been trying to, I guess, wrestle with over the last few years now, that I've been able to put back-to-back years where I've had success in terms of the achievements, but also more importantly to me in terms of hitting the potential that I thought I was capable of in the moment where it mattered. And the biggest thing I've been trying to like wrestle with is if I could go back and change that initial part of the career, like would that change where I am now? And would that take away kind of the pivot point that made me end up where I am right now? A lot of the time I like to think that I'd like to go back and kind of have the ideas that I have now and then do them back then. And yeah, sure. Like there's a chance that I could have had a much better career in terms of end results, in terms of medals and all that type of stuff as well. But it's hard to say. And also what I'm doing now, like it's very different, but also back then I was training for the 50, the 100, the 200. Well, I was racing the 50, 100, 200. I wasn't doing specific training for all three of them. And if I went back and did what I did now, I would more than likely have to give up probably the 200 back then, which I enjoyed doing a lot. And even before I got onto the international stage, I grew up, I was training with Dennis Cottrell. My main event before I was 14 years old was a 5K open water. I didn't qualify for the 50 freestyle at our national age group champs until later on in my career. The 800 freestyle world record holder, Chung Lin, he was training at Miami when I was there as well. And it wasn't a big squad at the time. So for most of that 08-09 season, I was up leading the lane against him, seeing what he could do, seeing the crazy stuff he would put down. I was like 12 or 13 at the time. So like pretty much every memory is, let's say we're doing hundreds. Most memories, I'm coming into the wall at 15 and he's coming out of the wall at 15. Like he's that far ahead. But still, the experience of being around people like that it's in a realm that is very, very detached to where I am right now and the events I'm focusing on. And so I've had a pretty big privilege to be able to be a part of such a broad span of not only training regimes, but also events as well. And then people in those events who are at the absolute top world class of where they're at. And so, yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to kind of come to a conclusion at the moment. So I'm not sure.
How many 50 freestylers that are world class I've gone a 352 in the 400 meter free?
Probably just Peter Van and Hugenvan. But he was way quick. It was 346. But then again, he was only 22.0?
Yeah, true. But, and the cool thing about him was, if I remember correctly, his feet didn't break the water. He kicked underwater.
Yeah, right. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, go back and look at the video. It was, and he looked so smooth. He looked like an age grouper to me when he was swimming.
Yeah.
Very elbowy. Yeah. It wasn't breaking the surface. Really weird way of swimming. But it's worth looking at. But, I think 11 years ago, you pumped off a 145 for 200 meter freestyle.
Yeah. That was my first national title too. That was my first breakout meet, really, because I won the 100 free, won the 200 free at the national champs that year. Later that year, I won PAMS in the 100 free as well, so first international title. And yeah, I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago. It feels like a different era. It honestly feels like a different sport as well. The way my week looked back then compared to what it looks like now, very, very different. In thinking about it, I don't want to go as far to say that I wish I could go back, do it again, and kind of clean up a bit of the way I approach things. But yeah, I don't know. It's, like I said, it's something I'm still kind of coming to terms with. I didn't expect to be where I am now off the back of what I'm doing right now, which means I didn't expect kind of the flow on downstream consequences of rethinking about what you've been through and everything as well. Also, outside of the achievement landscape, those years of my swimming career were some of the best years of my life in terms of the mates I was training with, the way you show up to training and each season, year on year, even though it was a lot of work, I'm just kind of chipping away at it, getting a little bit better at this, getting a little bit better at that, and developing kind of that fundamental way of doing things, which is that long-term focus of slow changes over time and just kind of compounding and seeing where that goes. And even though I'm doing very different stuff now, that fundamental approach to everything is one-to-one the same to what I'm doing right now. It's just a different medium. It's a different way of moving the body and a different end result in terms of the goals I'm doing and what I'm racing and everything. But yeah, it does feel like a lifetime ago, dropping that 145 11 years ago. It's crazy.
So when I think about it's always weird, interviewing you from the United States. I've competed in Australia many, many times during my career. It was in terms of just cultural and how you guys are treated in terms of fame. So this was surprising to me. We've never won Australia. Excuse me, not we. You. Australia's never won the 50 free.
Yep.
You're the first.
Yep.
So and you're the oldest to win at World Championships in the 50 free. In terms of just fame and how Australia embraces you, are they turned on? Are you recognized when you walk around? What's happening?
Things have changed a little bit, but then on the other side of things, especially off the back of Paris, that was such a long-term goal of mine to not so much the win, but rewrite my Olympic experience. And for a very long time, I didn't think I'd get that opportunity. So to finally have kind of been able to take that chip off my shoulder was so relieving that when I got back, I just wanted to kick back and relax. Like when I got back, there was a lot of media, there was a lot of that type of stuff. I did that for a month, but very quickly realized like, this isn't it. This isn't really what I'm after right now. Maybe 5-10 years ago, that was something I would have wanted to get more into and have a deeper dive in. But really, I just wanted to kick back and like get on with my life. Like after Paris, I got engaged. We eventually had our first son, and I just wanted to kind of transition into more life stuff. So I really put my foot on the brake in terms of media, in terms of sponsorship. I don't have any big sponsors right now. I deliberately took the foot off the brake to not want to re-sign so I could have a year of just focusing on this family stuff, decompressing post-Paris, thinking about where I'm going. And again, alongside this, because I've taken such a different approach and spent so much time kind of thinking about it, developing it, and then living it out myself, there's a lot of joy that I'm feeling in trying to package that into some form of content or information and put out there for others to see, follow along, learn from as well. Like the amount of people, probably triple digits now, who have watched interviews that I've done with you guys in the past and put out on my socials and everything, other information on what I'm doing, they've taken that inspiration and kind of put their own twist to it with their own approach and just gone off and done their own thing and have messaged me about how they've done lifetime PBs. Like people in their mid-40s who retired 20 years ago came back and they're like, I love the sport. This is so refreshing, etc. There's a lot of people within the sport who are still going that are making really good progress too, both at like the elite level and then kind of down from there as well. And seeing that is massively rewarding, which I'm getting a lot of joy out now. I'm trying to figure out different ways to lean into that more. But yeah, in terms of like media, fame, all that type of stuff, I've been kind of taking that step back.
Help me understand this. So what I'm hearing from you is you had this success. It was a long time coming, and you earned it, and then you came home, took a breath, and settled into life, and got quiet, family, fatherhood, but it didn't affect you in the pool. What you did in the pool, you also made changes in training, correct?
Yep.
And it's working. 31 years old, oldest world champion for Australia. This sounds similar to something like, Dressel finished in Paris, and he's like, you know what? He didn't know what he was going to do. And he called me and he's like, I'm like, here, talk to these national team members. They went on to more, worlds and Olympics, and they were married, and it didn't interfere with their lifestyle. He's like, if I can figure that out, I'll do it. But if I can't, I don't want to.
Yeah.
You figured it out.
Yeah. I've got a good landscape right now for life. On the topic of Caleb as well, in the last couple of years as well, watching him have his firstborn son. He's got his daughter now as well. Seeing him continue to swim, he had his time away, he came back, he was raising his family, and seeing him become that father but still be in the sport, had that balance, that was hugely inspirational to me. I know he's not where he wants to be at an athletic point of view right now, and I definitely think he's got a lot more in him, and that's still to come. But the inspiration in seeing him as a father still be around, develop that part of his life was massively influential on me. And a lot of seeing that, seeing Adam as well have his child and Ryan and et cetera. Like a lot of people are doing that. And that was a lot of influence that allowed me to come off the back of Paris and lean a lot more into the broader picture of life. And fortunately for me as well, I was lucky that what I developed from a day-to-day point of view, a year-to-year point of view with training, just so happens to just perfectly fit within that model of, I guess, like the mature side of an elite athlete, like that family side onwards type of thing. You see a lot of other sports that are able to do that balance and everything. And so I think swimming shouldn't be any different. And so, yeah, just on the topic of Caleb and all the other mothers and fathers out there who are still swimming or plan to come back to swimming, shout out Sarah. Yeah, massively influential. So I want to say that. But yeah, in terms of the type of training that we've got right now, it's massively beneficial. Like the amount of freedom that you get, the amount of ability to be able to tap into things that you haven't trained a lot in your life up until later stages in your career, and fully develop that, be more specific and purposeful in what you do. But then also I'm a huge believer in how you relate to what you do is far more important than how you do what you do. And so the aspect of having that freedom of creating the family, really growing that, leaning into that, and being more of a fuller person within life instead of just that elite athlete who is selfishly kind of optimizing everything around the sport and then kind of leaving everything else to the wayside. I think that goes a long way.
Caleb told me, he goes, there's some things I want to do. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, because I was giving him a hard time about Dressel dissects in his videos because he would go in and dissect his own videos. It was fantastic because he was just antiseptic and very cold and hard on himself, which was fun. Yeah. He said, this was content that I want to produce and I want to provide it to everybody. You mentioned something and I don't want to let it slip. You're like, I'm trying to distill this. You're pinning this content and it sounds like you're going to do something. Are you thinking about this? This is something you're going to roll off for everybody that, hey, I can dip in and I can do what Cam's doing.
I'm still in the phase of thinking about what's the best type of stuff to do. Obviously, like naturally, I want to just throw it all on paper, write it out, be as explicit as I can. But for the most part, that's not the best medium to get it across. There's been a lot of other people in a lot of other sports putting really great content together in terms of their training, their competitions, what they do there. I think that would be fascinating. I love the idea of streaming training. Like you go to training, you suit up, you just jump on Twitch on a stream and people can just log on and watch you throughout the training session and whatnot. But I think it's more difficult than just popping on a video recorder and doing all that type of stuff. But I like ideas like that would be massive. In April of this year, we spent about a month filming this kind of mini documentary on the process over the last few years. And that's taken a long time to be developed and it'll be put out on YouTube eventually. But I think that's going to be really spectacular. That's a really good way to just kind of condense a larger medium into something that's about an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. I was like, so what this is a documentary about an hour. YouTube is going to be, it's where you're going with it. Okay.
Yeah. So I was told, so they had the storyboard of what they wanted to do. They had all the footage and everything. Once they got all the footage, they went home, they put it in order based on the good content that they got in order of the storyline. And it ended up being like 5.5 hours long or something like that. And they're having to chop that up into something that's, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, something like that. And basically, like, we interview my whole team, Maddie. We go through my this training stuff, what I did during this phase, kind of the mobility side, the strength side, the swimming side, not like in massive detail, but I think it's pretty well laid out. And yeah, it just kind of brings that storyboard along in terms of the journey that I've taken, where I've taken it to. So I'm super excited for that. I hope, like, we need so much more swim content out there. Like, anyone who's been doing vlogs and anything around swimming, like ASP, Sean and all those guys are doing incredible stuff out there. The Whiffen guys, I've been watching their stuff a lot. There's a lot of content, that I get around. Even Jamie Ingram in the UK puts out stuff very consistently. And I just love watching it. And I think we need more of that stuff. It's going to elevate the sport. We need a much higher, stronger resolution view of behind the scenes of training and of the there's a lot that goes into it. The emotional side, the doing PBs in training side. There's so much that you could capture. So yeah, I don't know. I want to get stuff out there. I'm thinking about stuff. It's also not my area of expertise too, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm learning, and I want to just hopefully get more stuff out in the future.
It's just so I understand it. Is it so you captured 5 hours, going to condense to 45 minutes to an hour roughly? Is it the transition Paris to now and the change that you're talking about that you're going to detail, or is it like a memoir of your entire career?
It goes into a little bit of what I was doing previously, a little bit into what I was doing leading into Paris. And then I guess a lot of the focus is on kind of the last season. So this season into Singapore, I did a pretty extreme approach because basically, so since coming back, I've had 4 major international comps now. Fukuoka, Doha, Paris, and Singapore. Every single one, the skeleton of philosophies was all similar. But the way I did the entire start to finish has been pretty radically different. And I draw a lot of inspiration from the strength world, from the gym world. And even within that world, if someone wants to get stronger in something, there's 50 different ways you can program it based on many different philosophies to get from A to B. I think a lot of them apply in the water. And pretty much I had 4 opportunities, at least so far. I'll have more, to basically pick and choose which ones seemed really interesting, seemed like they applied to swimming, and just like kind of convert them to what they would look like in the water, in the gym, across a season, and just see where it would take me, see what would happen. In doing that, I've learned a hell of a lot in terms of how I respond to things, the general nature of sprinting and peaking and strength, and kind of where swimming or sprinting freestyle sits within kind of the strength power world. Yeah, so I've learned a lot about that. And basically I finished Paris and we wanted to kind of summarize the last 3 years into a season where it kind of combined all the elements together. And so with that, the idea was to have a little bit of a break. Got back from Paris. I had like a month out of no swimming, no gym or anything like that. And then the idea was I wanted to get stronger. I wanted to get more mobile. And I wanted to do that without swimming being concurrently trained at the same time. So from October until December was the plan, to just do basically dryland work. And once or twice a week, I'd get in the water purely to just feel the technique. It wasn't to get better at swimming. It was just to remember how the freestyle stroke felt with what I'd developed in the years before. And those sessions were literally 6 by 10 meters, and I'd time the 5 to 10. And you do it with fins and with our like resistance machine. 3 kilos in fins is roughly the race velocity that I hit in a competition. And so if I wanted to keep feel of the technique, I wanted to just hit the same velocity that I do in a race, but doing it with fins and 3 kilos is way easier than being fresh enough to do it by myself, like with no equipment.
Okay, you're getting deep in the weeds. Just help me here. October to December.
Yeah.
Mostly building strength.
Yep.
Once, maybe twice a week, you're in the water, and it's just to get just to remind the neural network of what was going on with body, mind body connection. Yep. But you wanted to feel speed, that speed that you know in the body position, and you're using fins. You said 3 kilos. What is it? The weight of the fins?
No, so I use a 1080 machine. So in talking, it's like converting it to, let's say, a destro power rack. It's about 30 kilos, 35 kilos within the tub. And that's strapped to my waist. So there's a bit of resistance, but then the fins kind of balances it out. And the only way to keep feel of the technique that I want to race at is by being at the same speeds. Like you don't develop technique at speeds away from that. So if I'm easy swimming or anything, that's not gonna help me keep my race technique, and it's also gonna actually take me further away from it. And so I just wanted to have exposure to that. That's it. So I might have been doing 120 meters in the water a week, and that's it.
Wait. So you don't warm up. Like you get in the water, you don't swim easy for 1,000 meters. You're just doing this power, this short burst of power.
Yeah. In this particular phase, it was just like 6 by 10 meters on one day, 6 by 10 meters on another day. Not max, maybe like 85, 90% effort. And we're timing it, like the machine we use, the resistance machine, can get a 5 meter split from 5 to 10. So we use that time to like let us know how fast I'm going. And that's kind of we just sit within a particular window there. So I'm feeling the technique there. That's just this phase. Basically, we wanted to get as strong as we could and increase our range of motion as much as we could without having the swim fatigue spilling over into the gym world. We wanted to basically squeeze as much juice out of it as we could. And so that's what we did. The gym side of things, I was on a 5-day split. So every 5 days I'd cycle through instead of a 7-day regular week. And that was basically day 1, I'd go strength training in the morning, mobility at night. Day 2, strength in the morning, mobility at night. And day 4, the same thing, with 3 and 5 as rest days. And as we went through that period, it was just nothing special and nothing crazy in terms of the strength approach, like what you'd see in pretty much any regular strength program. So that was pretty chill. But then in December, we went to Japan for the Japan Open. I had this thing on in Mongolia after, and I didn't want to just go to Mongolia. And I saw I could do the 50 in Japan. And mainly that was all a cover so that we could go to Japan and I could propose to Maddie. So layers to it. But anyway, I ended up going to Japan. I'd just been doing that training split, 5-day cycles of gym, barely any swimming, just doing technique stuff. Got to Japan Open, had a week of no gym leading into it so I could freshen up a little bit. And in that week, just did a little bit more technique work. Got up on the blocks and dropped to 2170. And that was my quickest in-season swim I've ever done. It surprised me a lot. But the biggest thing we saw from that was my 25 split in that 2170 was the same time as my 25 split at the Olympics, which means that off what I was doing, that top speed, which is you take the dive out from a 25 meters, maybe you're swimming for 4.5, 5 seconds. It's not much. And we found that you could keep that top speed very easily with very, very little swimming. I died horrendously in the last part of the race. As you 21:25 in Paris, 21:70 at this one. Obviously, it's not sustainable for a whole 50, but basically we got to December and we were like, wow, I've got the first 25 down pat. It's not going to take too long to redevelop the next 25. And so there's probably a good chance that we could extend this gym block a little bit further and really kind of go to the extreme end of the spectrum of how short of a swim block can we have to make sure we're back to where we need to be. And so, yeah, off the back of December, came home. I was meant to then come back into a resistance swimming block and basically start the long build into Singapore World Champs. And we scrapped that and decided last week of March would be the first time I get back in the water properly. And so from basically October 2024 until the last week of March, my swim regime was basically that 1 to 2 times a week, 6 by 10 meters. Every now and again, I'd suit up and go a couple of 25s just to see where I was at. But yeah, that was the large majority of my swimming for that entire block. And I just lent a lot more into the strength stuff, into the mobility work. And yeah, that was the massive change. So barely touched water until March. And then once I got back into the water, everything flipped on its head. So the gym side of things basically went into as minimal as I can to not lose any strength and any power that I developed, but I didn't care about progressing any further. Where I was at last week of March that was it. It's I didn't have to get any better and just hopefully didn't get any worse. And so gym went from a lot to virtually nothing. Think taper gym and then add a little bit more to maintain. And then everything else went into the swim. And the idea behind that was as little gym fatigue to spill over into the swim world. So I can pretty much put all my eggs in the swimming basket and really accelerate that growth and that type of development there. And then from, last week of March into I think I raced 1st and 2nd of August. That was my swim block for this season. And yeah, that was it.
You sit back into the pool with proper training, define proper training, how much, what are you going a day? We talked to Chalmers and he's like, I'm doing 3K a day.
Yeah.
And I was 3K a day is, for any swimmer, 3K a day is that's warm up.
Yeah. So basically my week from March onwards, I'd suit up twice a week, Monday, Thursday. I'd get in the water Tuesday, Friday as well off the back of gym. And that was my swim. So it's 4 swim a week, 3 gym. And basically the whole design of the week was Monday and Thursday were my suit up, collect volume at as fast as I could go. And then Tuesday and Fridays, it was a combination of 2 things, mainly technique work. I'd just done 6 months of gym development, mobility development. So I was a lot more mobile than I was before. And so like, because I had all this new range, I'd try and swim and I just felt like I was kind of in no man's land. I didn't have any like perception of where I was in space in the water. So it took a long time to redevelop that. And I get a lot of confidence of knowing that when I dive in, the technique's going to feel like this. And so most of those 2 sessions, the Tuesday, Friday, was spent basically relearning the technique. And then also on the other side of things, I'd done, again, 6 months of gym. So I was optimized for moving heavy weights. Like I could move heavy weights well and I could sprint pretty well, but like my adaptations of like where I was in my ability to output strength and power was far more skewed on the strength side and not on the body weight swimming side. And so a lot of those sessions were basically around trying to slowly bring my ability to peak my like output of power around body weight swimming and not weighted pull-ups and all that type of stuff as well.
Still didn't tell me how far you were swimming. 4 days a week. But
oh yeah. I mean, look, I don't know total volume because I don't add it up, but I do the same warm-up pretty much every time. And so my warm-up, I'd dive in, I'd go either 100 or 200 fins, super easy. And then I would go into 5 or 6 15 to 20 meter sprints where I'd start with like, let's say like a red parachute or blue Finis parachute. And then slowly each rep, I would kind of go down the strength curve from heavy to body weight to fins. So I'm doing, I don't know, 5 or 6, 15 or 20 meters where I start at like 70%, slowly move up to 80, 90, 95, 100. Get out, I do 3 dives. First one is like a super easy kind of dive and glide. Second one is at max 15. And then the last one is like a dive 25 or 30 where I'm just doing, let's say I do 12 strokes. Every 4 strokes, I kind of just feel like I go up a gear and that's it. So I do a pretty similar warm up all the time.
Does it warm up like 400 meters?
Let's say 550. It'd be close, 350, 400-ish. And then I do my main set. Main set could be whole range of things. Like let's say a main set's like a 35 and then a 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. That's one of my like bigger sessions that I do. And then that's it. No warm down. And then I'm done. So I do something of that sort twice a week. The other 2 sessions, sometimes I don't even touch the wall on the other end of the pool. It's just get in and it's just like a swim out to 15, walk back, swim out to 15, walk back. And you do that 8, 9, 10, 12 times. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe 1 to 2K if you were to add everything together, but it's just not a way you should view this stuff. Like it's like going into the gym and viewing, like say you do a whole bunch of bodyweight push-ups and you bench press 150 kilos. It's like adding the 150 kilo bench reps and the bodyweight push-ups as the same thing. It doesn't make sense to do that. And that's kind of what this space is like as well.
Do you ever do just like 1,000 easy?
No.
Because you said you get nothing for that. You said that I have to, you're always, the way I'm understanding it is you're always wiring your brain to move fast.
To move fast, but also like as you move at a certain speed, the way your body moves changes as well. And to me, that's a skill set. That's a skill in the same way that a handstand is, or something on the rings in gymnastics is like a skill. Like there's a shape to that output. And when you're like, let's say I'm sprinting 200 meters at speeds I want to do, but then I'm swimming 1, 2, 3K of just chill swimming. There's a lot more volume in the skill of the easy swimming than it is on the other one. And that overshadows the technical side of things. And yeah, that's part of the reason why I kind of lean into that. It also doesn't, like doing a K easy, aside from mental benefits, like for what I'm doing, it doesn't have any transfer. Like there's no reason for it except for if you like doing that. And if you like doing that, then that goes a long way, because like how you relate to what you do is far more important than what you actually do. But yeah, I see that as it's not that fun. The other thing as well with this type of training compared to what I was doing before is in the past, easy swimming felt so nice. You could cut through the water like a hot knife through butter. It's a beautiful feeling. But then when you got up and went max, that felt a bit clunky, a bit robotic, a bit off. That's swapped now. So when I get up and sprint, that feels really nice, like a hot knife through butter. It just flows super nice. Like it's a beautiful thing to experience. But now my easy swimming just feels real clunky, real off. And that's not enjoyable. Like, again, I really like the way the movement feels, like the swimming feels. And so if I do it like a K easy, that's going to feel pretty terrible to me. And yeah, I don't enjoy it.
What you're describing, when this documentary drops, it's going to have a lot of people talking. Because, I mean, you've proven it. You've proven this works. That's extraordinary. God, I mean, if I could do this, I'd swim longer.
There's more than just me doing this now as well at many different levels. Like I said, I got a lot of my inspiration from the strength world. There's a lot of philosophies of approach there that work in the water. And there's a few people who have seen what I put out, seen where I've drawn the inspiration from, and have gone into that space, gathered what they could, and then they're doing it themselves. They're putting their own twist on it. And they're seeing pretty cool results. Like Andre Barn in the 53 at Worlds, he went from 21.9 to 21.4. What ASP are doing over there, they've got a whole bunch of guys who have dropped a lot. Santo made the final after having to do a swim off as well in the heat. Went 21.6. That was a lifetime best. And that's it's in the same kind of space, but with their own twists on it. And it's not something that's isolated to just myself. It's not unique anymore. And that's exciting. And the more people kind of get on board with it, put their own twist on it, not only is it going to, I guess, normalize it more, but it's going to accelerate the way that you can kind of clear out what about this approach works, what doesn't. And there's more kind of trial and error from more bodies doing it. And so it can kind of accelerate the processing and the evolution of it as well.
What is the painful part of this? Because, I mean, this is world-class work. There's pain. Is the hard part of this gaining strength? Is it that gaining strength block?
So the 53, again, take the diving underwater out. The swimming part is about 17 seconds of sprinting for me. That's no heroic feat of endurance. Like, pretty much anyone in the world can go and do something for 17 seconds. Pretty hard. Like, they'll be tired, but it's not like no one's turning heads at that type of endurance feat. And so the feeling of complete and utter agony that you get in 100 training, 200, pretty much any other longer form of training doesn't exist in the 50 world. And so from like a metabolic point of view, a burning point of view, it's not that bad. It's actually really nice. There's obviously, there's huge amounts of fatigue that is around. Like, there's a lot of neural fatigue in the development of strength. You get some DOMs and all that type of stuff. Nothing crazy. It's definitely a different type of fatigue to the general approach. Like, neural fatigue is very, very different. And that was a lot of what I had to learn initially because it was so different from a day-to-day point of view. And that has larger ramifications on motivation, on burnout, on mood, and just the general stability of all that type of stuff as well. The other side of the coin is then most of my suit up sessions are under such a microscope where we're timing electronically to the 0.01 every time we do something. And we're not only getting the end result, but we cut it up as finely as we can. We get every 5 meter segment, we get the dive, we get all that type of stuff. And so you pretty quickly get to a point where, let's say I'm going in, I want to do 525s. If I think 9.50 is kind of a good benchmark to want to hit, if I hit that, it's a good day. Then if I'm like a 961, then mentally that's a huge weight in terms of like, that's what's happening. Why am I so far off? But then you take a step back, it's literally 0.1. It's nothing. But then that detail under the microscope is massive. And that takes a lot of, I guess, like a mental toll on you where multiple times a week, you're working on a fine line between plus or minus 0.05 that basically determines whether or not you had a successful session or if something's wrong or anything like that. And so from like a physical point of view, it's not anyone in swimming, anyone who's trained traditionally has an extreme sense of being able to handle work. And so this type of work would be super easy for them from a fatigue, like from a burning kind of metabolic point of view, but then it's kind of swapped for just kind of like more of a mental approach, more of a mental stability around what you're doing, the mood balancing, the neural fatigue, and then the having such a long period of your career under a fine microscope where a blink of an eye is basically the difference between if you're going in the right direction or if things are about to blow up.
Let me say this. I get it. I understand the water part. I'm saying when you're doing the strength block, October to December, which sounded like you extended it. Yeah, I'm going to the gym tomorrow, and I got a deadlift, and tomorrow I'm supposed to hit PBs.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. From that point, yeah. Same for like a squat as well. You're going in, you're trying to hit a squat PB, and like it's scary under the bar, especially when the weight starts to go up. But that's the other thing. Like there's so much pressure in this approach to need to be on every session. It's like as you go into a competition, you have that kind of increased anxiety of needing to be on for your races, for whatever it is, heat, semi-final. That feeling is basically just repeated every Monday, Thursday. You're going into it almost as if it's got the weighting of a competition psychologically. It's got the black and white kind of tick of approval or not psychologically of where you are. Same in the gym. Like you go into the gym tomorrow, you have a weight you want to hit for your deadlift. And if you get 90% of the way there, but you can't lock out and you fail it, then that's a pretty clear cut, like you're not good enough. What happened there? Rewrite everything with what's happening. Like it's very easy to kind of fall into that rabbit hole of response in that thing. And a lot of that is psychological. Yeah, like there's so many different avenues. And then like you said as well, it's just a grind to do one. It's the amount of effort you have to put into as well to like lay a 2-month foundation where you're doing sets of 8, sets of 12 pull-ups, sets of 8, sets of 12 squats going into whatever it is you do later on in the strength block. Like it's just different. And that's what I mean much earlier in this conversation where it's a different sport. Like the whole process of it, you're still swimming, but the whole process of progress and what you're doing, what you're going through is so different that it does feel like I've kind of gone to a different sport. It's difficult to express.
It sounds like it. It sounds like another universe. This is the alternate universe where there are aliens, and this is how they swim.
I'd feel like an alien on pool deck as well. Like you do this type of training, and you do feel like the odd man out.
Okay, fair enough. We were able to pull the alien metaphor back in here. This is so dialed in. You're talking about the difference between 0.05, whether or not this workout's working for you. As you get closer to, oh my God, you're not tapering. What kind of a taper do you do off of this? I guess you're backing off intensity because you've got to, you're going to back off intensity, but like, I would do 100,000 meters a week and I would do a 6-week taper, 6 weeks out. I'm down to 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, it's down to nothing. Put your toe in the water. But in my career, we might go 2 years. We might have a 3-week taper in year 1 and a 6-week taper in year 2. What you're talking about is completely the opposite end of the pendulum. How long do you taper?
Oh, it depends.
And what does the taper look like in this alternate universe?
So my taper includes our trials effectively and a little bit after that. So I don't know if let me lay it out. So about 3 weeks before our trials, my sprint volume, my gym volume starts to come down. It takes quite a long time for the nervous system to kind of come out of a hole. And that's correlated to how deep of a hole you've been into. But you just need the nervous system to have time to rest in order to have that output. So I'll taper in 3 weeks into our trials. I'm the most fresh I've been all year. I go and race. I hit a certain time that I haven't done for a while since the previous season. That's a new stimulus to me. So I would see trials and then off the back of trials as, I guess, my last training block, but it's also part of taper because I have to taper into this block to then get progress from it. And so like I'll taper into trials. I'll hit lately it's been 21.3-ish or something like that. And then 2-3 weeks after that, I would try and hold on to that freshness, that initial taper that I did, and then try and get as much race volume as I can at speeds that I haven't hit all year. Gym-wise, it's like you do a 100-kilo squat regularly in season over and over again. You taper in, you hit 120. So you're in 120 form. You spend 2-3 weeks to kind of do as many 120-kilo reps as you can. Eventually, you do a little bit too many. Fatigue builds up again. And it's not worth it, but there's a period where you can do that. And then again, you taper off the back of that, you let the nervous system come up, and then that leads me into Worlds, Olympics, whatever that is. And the idea behind that is I've just kind of taken that little leap forward again, where I can go from a 21.3 or something like that at a trials to a 21.1, 21.2, 21.0 at the next comp. So like, it's hard. Like, do you count the final little bit, the final like 2-3 weeks at the end, or do you count that initial taper as well? It's like almost like a double taper or whatnot. And if trials weren't there, I'd still be doing the same. That would be the flow of what I'm doing anyway. So I don't know, would it, 12 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever that may be. But that's kind of the landscape of what it is.
That makes sense to me. Okay, I got it. It's really looking through the lens of strength training. This is an analogy I can understand.
Very much so, yeah.
You're so dialed in. You were talking about, the difference between a good session and not a good session is 0.05. And
yeah.
You're a world-class athlete. You're out here, you're defending Olympic champion, popping off, defending it at world championships. You're feeling the stress every day. You want to be there, but you're so dialed in. You know what you're going to do. Like you're so fine-tuned. You know that time you're going to turn in.
Yeah, like there's a pretty good. Basically, that's like a good check to see if things are going well. Like if I can go into a session, I know what I'm going to do in terms of like if I've got 5:35, whatever it may be, I've got a pretty good idea of where I'm going to be to the 0.1 at least. If that's off, then something's got to change. If that's on, then things are moving sweet. Even after the fact, I'll do a 35, and then more often than not, I can be within 0.05 of basically every split if I'm in the right zone. And so, yeah, pretty much you've got a pretty astute understanding of where you are. That goes a long way in terms of confidence as well. So behind the blocks in a final at a World Champs Olympics, based on how I feel, I've had so much exposure to knowing that this state I'm in now more than likely is going to hit this time. And so the confidence that brings to just kind of relax and just let it unfold after I dive in is massive. Like I've used this analogy before where if you were to like lay out along a bell curve all of my in-training races that I've done, my 50th percentile is kind of where I want to be at for, let's say, a 35 meters split in a race. My 50th percentile of training, like my average kind of output in terms of if I feel like this is where I'm going to hit, is going, if I split that in this race, there's a good chance, like it's definitely not guaranteed, but there's a good chance I'm going to be up there fighting for at least a medal, which takes a lot of load off the shoulders in terms of where I'm going to be at, being very much in that unknown. And then, yeah, like there's a lot of, I guess, positives that come from this type of stuff.
Yes, you're dialed in. So when you're training this way, did your diet change? What do you weigh? Do you mind me asking?
I'm like 92-ish now.
Was that in pounds? I don't even know. I should look it up.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know the conversion.
In the United States, I'm 215 pounds, so I'm trying to take in 215 grams of protein a day.
Yeah,
because I'm growing. And
so you're a little bit away from me this season. I was like 87, I think, in Paris kilograms, and because of this extended gym block, and I wasn't thinking much about like maintenance diet or anything like that. When I started swimming back again in April, I was 94, which is that's a massive gain from where I was like a year ago. There's photos of me. We raced in April at our nationals, and there's a photo of me after, and I do not look like I'm in great. I look like a submarine effectively. And basically I held on to that into our trials. And then between trials and worlds, I had to go on a pretty aggressive cut to try and bring that down as much as I could. I was about 90 at World Champs, which I think helped out with the swim stuff, but had other, I guess, consequences with that as well. But yeah, weights changed like pretty dramatically. And after this year, I've realized now like there's got to be a lot more of an emphasis on my end to balance that and kind of keep that in a good bandwidth.
I just didn't know if you were tracking your protein intake.
I am now. Yeah.
You're in a sleep, or like, are you somebody like I've got to get 8 hours sleep more?
I was, but now with Hartley around, sleep is literally out the window. I'll take what I can get right now. I don't know how that's going to change too over the year or over the coming years.
Yeah, no, we had a daughter. She was not a sleeper, and it was like you nap when you sleep when you can sleep, and then then you meet parents and they have a newborn, and you're like they're sleeping fine, and you hate them secretly in your head.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, Hartley's pretty decent, but yeah, I'm running off, I don't know, 4 hours, 5 hours sleep at the moment, which I'm personally grateful for, because Maddie is shouldering a pretty big burden, a much bigger burden in terms of sleep. But yeah, I mean, this goes back to what I was saying earlier, like the kudos to everyone who have had children and continue to try and develop themselves as an athlete as well. Like, it's not easy. I'm certainly learning more and more about it as I go along. There's a lot more to learn, and there needs to be stuff out there as well. Just like there needs to be more content for training and stuff. Like, there needs to be little like aspects to go to kind of learn how to do this. Like other people have gone through it. Like, yeah, you can't just Google like how to train for a 50 freestyle and raise a child at the same time. Like it's not out there. So yeah, any fathers or mothers who have gone through the sport, who have retired, who are still in the sport, kind of knowing what they're doing, they think they've got it down pat. I welcome any type of stuff, any type of advice.
It's not easy. It's hard. It's what a common topic. It's like everybody's talking about it. Kyle's talking about it. Chalmers is talking about it. Dressel's talking about it. Yeah, everyone's talking about it, which is good because we want swimmers. We want our stars. We want you to go as long as possible. And on that topic, you're going to 2028. Be 35, correct?
34.
You'd be 34. Well, I was going to say, would you be the oldest individual Olympic champion? But you can't be because Anthony's 35. Yeah. But if you went to 30, 32, you'd be 38 in Brisbane. Yeah. Question is, here's the thing. I think you can do it. And I've now heard this unpacking of your training, and I'm like, yeah, you could do that until you're 38. Yeah. And you're naturally, I guess men's testosterone naturally scales to like 35, and some keeps going if you keep doing it, and, if you keep the high intensity. So yeah, yes, you could swim till 30, 32.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. Like Brent Hayden was in Tokyo. He was 38, and I think he's the oldest person to go sub 48 in the 100 freestyle. He changed up his training in his own personal way that allowed him to do that. Nick Santos, world champ at 42, sub 22, 50 butterfly, multiple medals at long course in his late 30s as well. Anthony Irvin, gold medalist in Rio. He was 30, almost 36, I think.
Oldest.
It's certainly done. Like people have done it before. Look, if motivation is there, if the passion is still there, I'd love to be there. Especially like Hartley's going to be 7 in 2032. Definitely old enough for him to remember. He'll be 3 in LA, so I don't know if that like maybe he'll remember, maybe not. It's kind of that borderline, but I know for sure in Brisbane he will, and that would be extremely special. But again, like life could get in the way and kind of divert me down to other paths. Like I don't want to set it in stone, but at least for where I'm at right now, it's certainly possible. And it's up to, I guess, motivation. If I'm still in the top 2 in my nation by then, our 50 freestyle is getting some insane depth right now, and that's not going to stagnate. You never know when some crazy youngsters are going to come through as well. And like, look, Popovic dropping a 46 and a 142 for world junior records. Someone of that equivalent comes through in the 50 freestyle. You don't know what the future holds. So I'll have my fingers crossed for it. I would love to be there. It's pretty poetic to finish off my career at a home games as well, and in the city that I'm living in. But yeah, I'll have to wait and see.
You've got to do it. You've got to do it.
I mean, I'll try. It'll be what, 4? So it'll be my 6th Olympics as well. That's special for that longevity. I don't know. I'll see where it takes me.
What you're describing, the difference between the way you're training for this event and the way you would have to train to swim the 100 meters is a different universe. It's so broad. This is so specific. And so if I'm training for the 100 and I'm trying to do what you're doing and dial it in the 50, it's really hard to do.
I honestly think it's not too far away. Like obviously you got more time in water, but Tim's got a few 100 guys right now that he's been fleshing out and scaling the 50 stuff up to 100, and they've seen insane results. And these guys are doing, I don't know, depending on the time of year, between 8 and 20, 25K a week. So it's different for sure, but I mean, 8K for a few weeks a year for 100 meters, like, it's not bad. And like he had this guy go from 56 to 54.2 in the 100 back with a lot more low hanging fruit to come. It's possible. And part of me really, really wants to just try it out. I would love to go 47 again. Last time I went 47 was 2017. So I'd just love to just tap that and just be done with it. But I don't know if or when I'll get that opportunity, because the 50, I still think I've got that little bit of room, and I've been 21.0, I've been 21.1 twice. I'm a stone's throw away from that 20 point. I would like to get that, but even with the 100, like it's a step away, but it's not a bus trip and a plane ride. Like, it's close. It's not too bad.
I think in a 100 meter, if you're doing that funky thing that we do in the United States, yards, you can fake a 100-yard free. You can fake it. Yeah. But when you get to 100 meters, it's what we find, like the 200-yard free translates to the 100-meter free. We'll see a great 200-yard freestyler somebody at college, and then they'll end up being a great 100-meter freestyler. At 100 meters, you start to suffer. You suffer in those last 15. That's a terrible race. That can really suck. The 200 meter is just pure pain.
Absolute pain.
200 free to me is more painful than the 200 fly because it's just, you have timing and torque, but in free, it's just driving. 200 back, it's just driving the entire time with your legs. So, but I do think there's something about the mastery of what you're achieving right now that sets it fully apart. I think that if you streamed specific practices in your training block and you're like, hey, on these dates, I'm streaming this practice, people would really want to see it. I would definitely watch because it's just like, hey, pop on for $5 and I'm going to pay. Yeah, I do. I think people would pay to be a fly on the wall and see this. This is so unique.
Yeah, it would be cool to normalize it as well. Would be awesome because there's a lot of other people doing incredible stuff in the sport that I want to watch what they're doing. Just to, I don't know, even be a part of it. But yeah, it's something. It'd be cool. I don't know the type of looks I'd get at the gym and stuff, like being live stream and all that. But on pool deck, 100%, I'd love it.
You're like the world champion. You can stream. You stream.
Yeah, maybe. We'll leave it. Like this will go out there and we'll see what the type of response is from the SwimSwam audience. See what they think.
I think that they would love it. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to do it, you got to keep us posted on what you're going to do in terms of your documentary because we're of course going to blast this out as far as we can take it. And if you stream, which I hope you do, I do think people would want to see that. And personally, I would like for you to have a business model doing it because you've achieved this and you're curating something that's very precise, and I think that's meaningful.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I've got to go to dinner, and just letting everyone know when we're capturing this. If I covered, we got aliens, we got a breakdown on the training.
Yeah.
Did you have any sickness at World Championships?
No, I was fortunate to not come across it. A lot of the Oz team did. Yeah, a lot of them got it midweek. Some of them still went pretty insane stuff. Like Lani's 805 is insane. Yeah. But yeah, I was pretty good. Like, fortunately, again, I wasn't on pool deck that much that week in training. So yeah, maybe that was lucky. It was a bit of a weird one. I skipped the staging camp to come into Singapore because Hartley came along. I was there for, 9 days or something like that, and then flew out literally the morning after the 50 free final. If I had got sick, if I'd left my newborn and my wife for a couple of days and then got sick, couldn't even do the one event I was doing, I would have been pretty ropeable. It would have been pretty upsetting time, but I was very fortunate to be okay.
No, that would have been a wash.
Yeah, we all would have said that.
No, that's
good.
So we're going to see you next summer here in Southern California for a dry run of Team USA in our time zone now.
Yeah,
SwimSwam
and your turf.
We are an international platform. We report all news, but I swim Team USA, so I'm like going,
Dude, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But we are coming off the back of Commonwealth Games, just in a week apart.
True.
That strengthens our armor or not, I don't know, but we're coming with the full force.
I think that if swimming globally had a spirit animal, it would be Australia.
I get it. You should see. That's something I wish that could be live streamed. The Australian pool deck on staging camps before major comps.
Oh, really?
It's pretty special. I think the world would have a good time watching that. A lot of them are pretty secretive though, so I don't think we'll have a hard time getting that across the line.
Rob Woodhouse might be behind that. I mean, he's an interesting creative guy, and he's your CEO.
He's open to unique changes and things as well, doing things a little bit different.
I think that Swimming Australia was very forward thinking in putting him in that position. But can you give me a flavor? Like what is it? Is it the untouchable? Is it just the spirit of the team? What's going on?
It's, for my point of view, it's a few things. First one, you've got a handful of people doing their generational talents. And so they're in the water, they're doing their regular stuff, but their regular stuff is insane to the regular swimmer. And so just some of the stuff I see Shorty throw down, Arnie has thrown down, like it's mind boggling. So just the realization to the world that they can do this type of stuff, this type of thing is humanly possible in the water. That's special in and of itself. And then, you have the energy of the coaches as well. Obviously, Dean Boxall's pretty universally known for the energy he brings to competitions in the grandstand. Pretty similarly, he's like that to his swimmers on pool deck. And so Yeah, it's a special kind of concoction of a mixture of things. Very much worth the content that it will put out.
You said before that you didn't sign because you wanted to take some time off this year. You didn't sign sponsors. Are you not under a suit contract?
No suit contract right now. So currently just chilling.
I got to wrap my head around that. You're going to get that suit deal.
It would be nice. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say no, but I had been loving the Mizuno suit this year. Yeah, I mean, I'd go as far as to say that there's a noticeable difference in training over 25. Like it actually, yeah, it's pretty special. I just want to wear that. I just want to wear what feels good for now. But I mean, look, suits also develop. They evolve, and I'm not against it all. But yeah, for the last like year or so, it's been really nice to kind of kick back and just be in swimming to swim, not have any of the extra deliverables around that as well. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go to dinner. Is there anything I haven't covered? Anything that you would like to say, but as we sign off?
No.
When are you dropping this documentary? Give us a date. Come on.
Last I got updated, maybe like 2 months away, one or 2 months away. Not sure. It'll be out.
You've heard it here. Cam's documentary is coming out. And after this description of what's going on in his world, you want to see it. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.